The conflict between Iran, America, and Israel has deep historical roots that date back to World War II. While there are 57 Islamic countries in the world, the question arises why America and Israel focus so intensely on Iran, ignoring others. To understand this fully, we must go back to the era of World War II. During that time, every nation had to choose between supporting the British Empire or Hitler. Most countries sided with the British Empire, but the Shah of Iran chose to ally with Hitler. This decision led to a close friendship between Iran and Germany, which the British Empire did not appreciate. Consequently, Britain launched an attack on Iran, swiftly conquering it. The Shah, realizing his defeat, surrendered to the British and begged to save his throne. The British agreed, but on one condition: the Shah had to step down and appoint his 22-year-old son, Reza Shah Pahlavi, as the new ruler. Reza Shah was a loyal puppet of the British Empire. Reza Shah was heavily influenced by the West. He wanted Iranians to adopt Western lifestyles, wear Western clothes, party like Westerners, and abandon their traditions. From the very beginning, he sought to distance Islam from Iranian society. He banned the hijab, closed many madrasas and mosques, arrested prominent Islamic scholars, and promoted music, parties, and alcohol throughout Iran. At one point, Iran, an Islamic country, began exporting alcohol to the world. The Shah believed he was doing a great job for the country, even telling the Saudi King Faisal to modernize Saudi Arabia along Western lines. King Faisal refused, but ironically, today Saudi Arabia advises Iran to become more liberal, which Iran ignores. The Shah's efforts to secularize Iran backfired. Prominent Islamic scholars, including Ayatollah Khomeini, began speaking out against him in mosques and madrasas. Khomeini and his followers incited the Iranian people to rebel against the Shah. As Khomeini's influence grew, the Shah had him arrested and exiled to Iraq. In Iraq, a young leader, Saddam Hussein, closely observed Khomeini's actions. Over time, Saddam became fearful of Khomeini's power and even offered to assassinate him. But the Shah declined, underestimating Khomeini's threat. In exile, Khomeini recorded his speeches on cassettes, which were smuggled into Iran. His messages inspired the people, and slowly, they began to see Khomeini as their true leader. However, removing the Shah was no easy task, as he had a powerful army and the full support of the United States, America's favorite puppet in the Muslim world. At the peak of his power, the Shah made a grave mistake. He organized the Flames of Persia, the most extravagant and expensive party in the world, to revive the glory of the Persian Empire. Leaders and celebrities from around the world were invited to this event, which was held in a newly built city in the desert. The Shah served food on gold plates and sat on a golden throne, portraying himself as the new emperor. Meanwhile, the poor in Iran struggled for basic necessities, and this stark contrast fueled their resentment toward the Shah. After the party, the Iranian people increasingly turned to Khomeini's ideology. Khomeini declared that the Shah was the modern-day Yazid, a tyrant in Islamic history. As Khomeini's influence grew, the Shah realized that only a superpower like America could save him. He pleaded for help, but America, France, and other countries held a meeting and concluded that they could not protect him from Khomeini. Realizing he was defeated, the Shah fled Iran forever. When Khomeini learned of the Shah's flight, he returned to Iran after 14 years in exile. His return was met with an unprecedented welcome. 7 million people gathered to greet him, setting a world record. Upon his arrival, chants of death to America and death to Israel echoed across Iran. Khomeini's followers arrested the staff of the American embassy, and Khomeini demanded that America return the Shah to Iran in exchange for the hostages. This marked the beginning of the enmity between Iran and America. The Shah never returned to Iran, and after his death, his son declared himself the new Shah. Meanwhile, Khomeini established a new Islamic government in Iran. Around the same time, Saddam Hussein rose to power in neighboring Iraq. World leaders feared Khomeini's influence, as he repeatedly urged Muslims to rebel against their rulers. Under pressure from America and Arab leaders, Saddam attacked Iran, leading to an 8-year war. Despite global support, Saddam failed to remove Khomeini from power. Shortly after the war ended, Khomeini passed away. His funeral was the largest in history, with 10 million people in attendance, a record that remains unbroken. After Khomeini's death, Iran's ministers chose his student, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei as the new supreme leader, a position he holds to this day. Following the war with Iraq, Iran's leaders realized that America and Israel would never stop targeting them unless Iran had its own nuclear bomb. However, building a nuclear bomb was no easy task, and no country was willing to share the necessary technology with Iran. Miraculously, Pakistan, the first Islamic country to develop a nuclear bomb, secretly began helping Iran. Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan, the father of Pakistan's nuclear program, sent centrifuge technology to Iran. Centrifuges are critical for enriching uranium, which can be used to generate electricity or, when enriched to 90%, to create a nuclear bomb. Using this technology, Iran rapidly developed its nuclear program. This historical context explains the ongoing tensions between Iran, America, and Israel. Iran's quest for nuclear capability, rooted in its desire for self-preservation, has made it a focal point of global conflict. As Iran began its nuclear program, the United States quickly became aware of it, while the U.S. had some level of acceptance for Pakistan's nuclear capabilities due to Pakistan's long-standing loyalty as an ally. Iran was viewed very differently. Pakistan, despite its challenges, has always remained aligned with U.S. interests. But Iran has consistently opposed the U.S. and issued threats directly to it. When the U.S. discovered Iran's nuclear project, President George W. Bush addressed the world, accusing certain countries of seeking to develop chemical and nuclear weapons. He specifically named Saddam Hussein of Iraq and Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei. This speech was later proven to be based on false claims, known as the Bush mistake. Shortly after, the U.S. invaded Iraq, toppling Saddam Hussein's regime and killing thousands. This success emboldened the U.S., making it clear that it could accuse any country of wrongdoing and justify military action. Following the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq, Iran became the next target. The U.S. repeatedly claimed that Iran was developing nuclear bombs, drawing global attention to Ayatollah Khamenei. The timing seemed perfect for an attack, as the U.S. had significant military presence in Afghanistan on one side of Iran and in Iraq on the other, effectively surrounding the country. The world watched to see how Khamenei would protect Iran from the superpower. In response, Khamenei issued a fatwa declaring that the development of nuclear weapons is haram, forbidden in Islam. He explained that Islam teaches compassion even in war, prohibiting the killing of children, the elderly, or women, and even forbids cutting down trees during conflict. Nuclear weapons, which cause indiscriminate destruction, are therefore against Islamic principles. Khamenei announced that Iran had no intention of developing nuclear weapons and invited international agencies to inspect its nuclear facilities. When a UN team visited Iran, they found that its nuclear plants were designed similarly to Pakistan's, leading to the conclusion that Iran had acquired nuclear technology from Pakistan. This revelation put immense pressure on Pakistan, and Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan, the father of Pakistan's nuclear program, publicly admitted to the transfer and apologized. Pakistan, seeking to appease the international community, placed Khan under house arrest. Khamenei's fatwa left the U.S. with no justification to attack Iran. However, one country continued to pressure the U.S. to take action against Iran: Israel. Despite Israel's efforts, the U.S. initially refrained from attacking Iran. Over time, suspicions grew, and in 2009, the U.S. imposed severe sanctions on Iran. These sanctions devastated Iran's economy, which had been growing rapidly. Iran, a country rich in oil and gas, was suddenly unable to sell its resources globally, even to neighboring countries like Pakistan, which opted to buy more expensive LNG from Qatar instead. Only a few countries, such as China, Russia, and India, continued to do business with Iran. The economic crisis forced Iran's government to negotiate with the U.S., leading to the 2015 nuclear deal under President Barack Obama. In exchange for Iran agreeing not to develop nuclear weapons, the U.S. lifted sanctions, allowing Iran's economy to recover. This deal was seen as a significant success for both nations. However, one person in the U.S. vehemently opposed the deal: Donald Trump. Upon becoming president, Trump, influenced by the powerful pro-Israel lobby in the U.S., withdrew from the agreement and reimposed harsh sanctions on Iran. This move crippled Iran's economy once again. In response, Iran resumed its nuclear program, escalating tensions with the U.S. Trump, known for his intolerance of defiance, ordered a missile strike that killed Iran's top military commander, Qasem Soleimani. In 2020, this act was a significant humiliation for Iran and its people, leading to widespread anger against the U.S. following Soleimani's death. Iran elected a new president, Ebrahim Raisi, a hardliner who refused to bow to U.S. or Israeli pressure. Under Raisi, Iran's nuclear program expanded, and he made it clear that Iran would not negotiate with the U.S. Raisi also increased support for groups opposing Israel, leading to further conflict in the region. However, when Raisi died in a helicopter crash a year later, Iran elected a more moderate leader who reaffirmed Khomeini's fatwa against nuclear weapons and expressed willingness to negotiate with the world, including the U.S. secret talks between the U.S. and Iran have recently resumed, but Israel remains determined to prevent any reconciliation. Israel has accused Iran of continuing its pursuit of nuclear weapons and plotting against U.S. presidents. It has also targeted Iranian officials to provoke Iran into making a mistake that could justify a U.S. military intervention. Israel's goal is to dismantle the Islamic Republic established by Ayatollah Khomeini decades ago. The situation remains tense, with Iran maintaining its stance against nuclear weapons while facing ongoing pressure from both the U.S. and Israel. The future of U.S.-Iran relations and the stability of the region hang in the balance. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to not miss out on top-tier analyzers of politics and justice. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring showdowns that change how the world sees